I feel like since I was exposed to Kabbalah, I really started looking differently at even, the biblical stories, which to me seemed always like sometimes harsh. Sometimes the God was portrayed as like this, alpha male that is very driven by punishment and justice and all kinds of concepts that I couldn't connect to. And since learning Kabbalah and really being exposed to the metaphoric way that the Bible is written, I understood things in a very mystical way. The same stories, but different interpretations. And since then, I just see everything in a more beautiful and harmonious way in the Jewish tradition. So it's really helping to connect more into the Jewish tradition for people that were born Jewish but didn't really feel that connection before. So yeah, just to tell you a little bit about the background of the teachings of Kabbalah. The actual word, the meaning of the word, means receiving or to receive in Hebrew. And it's not a religion. It's not something like you will see Kabbalistic rabbis. They don't always appear the way that the rabbis appear, like with the beard, and they could be just people that look like you and me. And it's this ancient teaching that is considered to be universal spiritual laws of life, basically. So it's for all mankind, and it helps us to understand the essence and meaning of life, basically, and really like in an almost scientific, mathematical way, but it's also complex. So it's simple and complex at the same time. We will see it as we go along the course. By the way, it's like not, you don't really have to attend every meeting if you don't want to. I'm also recording it, but it's really nice to have that flow. So if you can, try to do that. If not, we're also trying to record a podcast besides the recorded lessons, so you can always catch up. Yeah, and this knowledge, maybe some of you know, wasn't always very out there. Like it was kept secret. It was only for a few people that could contain it and teach it. And during the Jewish history, it wasn't like a mainstream thing at all. The fact that now it's a little bit more out there, and we even know like celebrities that are learning Kabbalah, and there are many centers around the world, and it's open. It's because that we are in the times where it's considered okay and even recommended to learn it and to understand it. Yeah, so basically, it will help us to connect the dots, and we start to realize like what is our job in this world and why we came here and what's the meaning. And once, like some of you have knowledge from different spiritual teachings, so it's also very connected to other wisdoms. So it's also beautiful to see that connection. And we'll start from the word itself. Why is it called to receive? The word Kabbalah. And it basically represents the idea of us as receivers, us as souls that are in this realm, and we are considered to be vessels. So vessel is like the first term that we're going to learn, the Kabbalistic term, and the vessel is something that also needs to be built and maintained, and the purpose is to have like a strong, solid vessel, because that vessel could receive the divine light. So that's the most basic concept. We are vessels. There is a divine light that's like the force, the ultimate energy source. You can call it God, but anything else is also okay. But that force is just wants to be poured into the vessel. That's basically the main point of Kabbalah. And I don't know if you have Hebrew background, some of you, but I will use some Hebrew terms and then explain also the spiritual meaning of the words, because Hebrew itself is considered to be like a divine language, like a sacred language. So each letter of the Hebrew alphabet is like an energetic channel that holds some frequency. And this is the reason, like also in tarot cards, some of you know, like the Rider deck, or in other, I don't know, like teachings and stuff, we will see Hebrew letters being used because it's like a potent energy center, each and every letter. So we'll get to that, but I will use a little bit of Hebrew as well. So the divine light in Kabbalah is this infinite thing that flows to us, and it manifests itself in our reality in different ways. As we said, it's like energy, it's motivation, inspiration, peace, confidence, fulfillment. It's like a plus. If we think of it as like a plus and minus, the receivers are minus, the light is the plus. So plus and minus, pretty simple in that way. The Kabbalah and the receiving part is how the minus can receive the plus in the best way possible. And the only reason we are not getting a lot of that plus in life is because we're blocking ourselves from tapping into our potential. That's the Kabbalistic approach, because the light, the plus, always wants to be poured into the minus. That's the only wish that the light has. So by overcoming those blockages, we can create a better vessel that will contain that light. So does that make sense so far, or does anyone have any questions about that? Okay, cool. All right, so the origin of Kabbalah, where did it came from? What's the story there? It's a knowledge that was probably always there, you know, since the dawn of humanity, but it was formulated and worded in a series of books that are called the Zohar. Zohar in Hebrew is like a glow, I would say, or radiance, and it was written around 2,000 years ago. So the Zohar is like a very deep work in the Jewish mystical literature, and it is the person that was writing it, according to the tradition, is called Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, Rabbi Shimon. Even till this day, his grave is a very famous spot that people are going to visit, mainly in a holiday called Lag BaOmer. This year there was like an unfortunate event where a whole structure collapsed in that event, but I'm not going to get into that. But yeah, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and it has a lot of interpretations about mysticism, mythical cosmogony, mystical psychology. It's very profound. It contains discussions of the nature of God, the origin, the structure of the universe, and the 10 dimensions of reality that we know that are the tree of life, the Kabbalah tree of life. We'll talk about that as well. So that is the main book. There are other books. There are other rabbis. There are so many different ways to learn Kabbalah as well by different traditions. But the Zohar is the base. That's the base. Yeah, and basically the question is, what is the real purpose of our existence? It sounds big, but that's the teaching of Kabbalah. That's what we're taught there. Why are we here? What do we need to do? How do we transform our reality? And is it in our power to transform reality by transforming our consciousness? So it gives a lot of practical tools as well. But what we are learning is like, it's theoretical Kabbalah. Practical Kabbalah is like magic making, which is something else. But once you see that this knowledge and you learn it, then it's already magic. It can already create magic just by understanding it. And you know, maybe some of you heard the phrase abracadabra, and that's actually in Aramaic. Aramaic is it's that ancient language that the Zohar is written in, and it's quite similar to Hebrew, but it's a different language. And in Aramaic, the word abracadabra means I will create what I speak. Evra ke'edabra. It's two parts. Evra ke'edabra. And that just shows us that the importance of the language and words in like casting spells. This is why we also say spelling in when we refer to language. So yeah, just by speaking, just by saying the words, when you are connected to the creator energy in you, you can already create magic. That's the approach of Kabbalah. I will also write it down so you can see how it looks like, the word. You see some Hebrew letters. So Evra, Kedabra, that's abracadabra. It's just a fun fact. Yeah, the Hebrew letters and the Aramaic letters are the same. Okay, so by the way, I forgot to say, so in some lessons, we will also have Dor, my partner, as a co-teacher. He is working in these hours in evening time, so he couldn't join us today, but he will join maybe at half an hour. So you'll get to meet him too. And yeah, we're coming back to the screen. So we are responsible, according to Kabbalah, to live a conscious life. It's our job to build that vessel that will be able to receive the divine light. And it's not ending by us receiving the light. Like our job in this world is not only to be able to receive it and feel, you know, happy and fulfilled by ourselves, but eventually the purpose is to receive in order to give. But first, we need to receive. So if we want to have something that we can actually give to others and share, then we have to be responsible for building our own vessel, to be strong enough and capable, so we can give that light as well to others. Yeah, and the receiving part is one thing, the giving part is another thing. We will start by learning how do we receive, and yeah, and the light to understand how do we receive, we have to understand the light, how it works. So it's that universal force, as we said, and it's like water. It's like a river. It's something that only flows. It never ceases to flow. It's not something that is like giving a budget to the flow of abundance. It's always just there. It's always there, and it always was, and it always will be. So that was in the beginning, before anything else. Before anything else was the light. And the light almost like created a gap within itself in order to have in order to create, in order to share its essence. So it might sound a bit abstract, but it's almost very similar to the story of the Big Bang, and we'll see how the light was creating this realm in which it could share the gifts and the love that it wanted to share, because the essence of the light is to share. So it created that realm where it's possible to share all the goodness. And that is called like a Garden of Eden. That situation, the original situation, was just a situation in which the light was sharing abundance and sharing joy and presence and all the goodness that it had. And there was like this one soul that was created by that gap, and that one soul is called Adam Kadmon. In Hebrew, that means Adam Kadmon. It's like an ancient person. I would say that would be the best way to describe. And it was just one thing. It was one soul, one big soul. That was the minus that was created for the plus to share all that abundance in that realm of paradise, of Garden of Eden. And that's one soul, Adam Kadmon, was enjoying all that and really feeling happy and satisfied. But at one point, that one soul started feeling like it receives an unearned energy, because it is not doing anything in order to receive that abundance of goodness. The abundance of goodness is just there. It's always there. It's always there for it. And it's like boring because it's not something you work for. And that moment was the beginning of life, because that one soul requested, it had the free choice. That is how the light created it. It had the free choice, and it desired to be separated from the light so it can become like the light. It can become independent and earn energy by itself. Make sense so far? Anyone has any questions?
Can you say that one more time? I'm just wanting to let it land at very last piece about the desire to be being separated.
Yeah. So I'll write also the terms so we can see it in front of us. So there's this term that is talking about unearned energy. In Hebrew, it is called lechem bizayon, and in English, I'll write it as well in English. In English, it's bread of shame. So that is also a Kabbalistic term, and it comes to describe a situation where one receives unearned energy, like energy that didn't do something to get. It was just delivered to you. And that situation can sound ideal. You know, it's like the Garden of Eden. Everything is just perfect there. There's fruits and sweet water, and you can just play and enjoy and create and run and be happy. And there's nothing you need to do. You don't need to work. You don't need to suffer. Everything is just there for you to enjoy. That was the original state of the original one soul that we called it Adam Kadmon. That one soul, Adam Kadmon. And at one point, receiving that energy started to feel like bread of shame. Because like if I will give you a puzzle, but I already made that puzzle and the puzzle is just complete, and I hand it to you, you might like it and say thank you and enjoy it, but it would be better for you if I will just give you the pieces and you will make the puzzle by yourself. It will be more interesting. You will feel like you earned the puzzle. You will feel like you're doing something yourself. That is the first initial desire of the soul. The desire to be like the creator, to create by itself and not be and not just receive without earning it. So that desire created life as we know it today, as we know it in this realm, in the materialistic, earthy realm. Because here on this realm, the light is concealed. Light is concealed so we can work to reveal it. So we can do something in order to reveal it and in order to receive the energy, and it won't be just like gifted to us without us putting any energy in it. Make sense? Okay. Okay, so it's basically a choice. It was our choice. It was the choice of that original soul to have life that is about work and about creating and about effort as well. It's sometimes we feel like this world is very unfair. This world is very unfair. Oh, I can hear myself. Someone is not on mute, I think. Okay, now it's good. All right, so yeah, so what was I saying? That that we ask, Kabbalah teaching will say that we asked for this separation from the light because we wanted to receive an energy that is earned and not bread of shame. Lechem is bread. Bizayon, shame. We will get more into the story of the creation and the Big Bang, but I'll just tell you how it's called. So when we get to that, you will understand what we're talking about. The process of separation from the divine light and separation from Garden of Eden, Gan Eden, is called Shvirat HaKelim. Shvirat HaKelim, also a Kabbalistic term, is basically breaking of the vessels. We said that each and every soul is a vessel, is considered to be a vessel. So Shvirat HaKelim is the process of separation from the light. It's when there was this big explosion in which we became many, many, many small scattered vessels. Instead of that one original, that we call it Adam Kadmon, we became scattered into a lot of different vessels. Vessels, kelim. Kli is one vessel in Hebrew, and kelim is vessels, plural. Kli, and does anyone know, except for the Israelis, how do we say light in Hebrew? George, you don't know? Maybe Josh or Sasha or Noah? What's the word for light? Okay, so I will tell you.
Oh, sorry, but I'm cheating because I'm Israeli. It's oh.
Yeah.
You asked me.
Yeah, I asked you. But because it's all, you haven't been living in Israel for a long time, so it's still a challenge. You may have forgot, but it's a word that is actually very present in the Hebrew language. There are a lot of people that's their name, and they have part of their name is Or, like Or-El, and it's a concept. I will write it here as well. Or is like light, is like just the simple light, but when it's the divine light, it is Or and Sof. It's like endless light. If I use the literal translation, it's like endless light or divine light. So the Or and the vessel, the Or and the Kli, the light and the vessel. That's the two forces that are acting in the story of Kabbalah. And in Hebrew, it will be Oh, like this. We go from right to left in Hebrew, if you want to write down the Hebrew words. So all will be the plus. Vessel will be the minus. And for the Israelis, or not Israelis, but if you speak Hebrew and you want to know the meaning of the terms in Hebrew, let me know. Because sometimes I will say it in English, but I'm also happy to include the Hebrew words. So feel free to let me know and ask for that.
Yes, please. Ken toda raba.
Okay, I'll do that. Okay. Yeah, so lechem, so that process of feeling like what we receive in Gan Eden is the bread of shame. We really want to have our own reality that we create, that we are responsible for, because we love the light and we want to be like the light. So what that means, we want to be giving, we want to be independent, we want to be creative, all that properties that we see in the light, we wanted to feel that we have them as well. It's like a boy that wants to, be like their parents, or or when you grow up and you feel like, there's this idol, there's this person that I really admire and adore, and I want to become like that person in a way. But it's from love, it's from a good approach. It's really a hard desire. So that hard desire created that separation, the Big Bang. Big Bang is Shbirat HaKelim in the Kabbalistic term, the breaking of vessels, in which we became many different vessels that the light is hidden in the reality that we are living in. Still here, everything is the light, every object is the light, every cell in our body is happening because of the light. It is the light, it's a manifestation of it, but it's not easy to see it and feel it sometimes in this realm. It's not easy. So what we want to do as humans is to reveal it as much as we can. And how does that connect to the tree of life? That structure of, maybe I have a photo of it. I'll look online. You probably all saw it at one point. It's a structure that is very similar to other structures, like also the chakras, because it's 7 and 3. It's 10 energy centers. Just one moment, I'm looking for a good photo. So it sends me to a photo of the store in Australia. So it's 10 energetic centers that have Hebrew names, but English translation. Sometimes the English translations of the words in Kabbalah is not that accurate, but we'll try to find the best interpretation. I'll just share my screen with you so you can see it. Okay, so it's here, and yeah, and we have on the top side of it, we have, can you see it? Can anyone see it? Everyone? Okay, good. So on the top part of it, we have Keter. This one is Keter, that's crown. It's like the crown chakra. And on the bottom part here, we have Malchut. Malchut, it's kingdom. And it's actually like an upside down tree, because the roots of reality are in the spiritual realms up here. And reality itself, how we see it and experience it, is like the leaves of the tree, top of the tree, which is here. So it's an upside down tree. So that shows us that if we want to change something in this earthly materialistic reality that we live in, Malchut, then the real work is like here in the top part, in the bottom root parts of the tree. Because if we change something from the root, then everything will change as well. And we will also get into the different energy centers and what they mean. This is Bina, like the name of Sasha. But not at the moment. This is just to show you how it looks like. Also, we can see in between each and every sphira, between each and every energy center in the tree, there's a Hebrew letter, because the Hebrew letters are symbols of energies. So it's the letter Vav, for example, that we see here, is the energy that is between these two energy centers. It's like a channel. That makes sense. Might be too complicated at this point, but it's just an overview. And you can see that we have a right side, a left side, and a middle side to the tree. And that's also important. But we will understand that later on. Almost screen. All right, so the tree of life is like the chakras, is like the colors, is like the different tones in a musical scale. It's like a basic structure that we can see in all of reality. And that basic structure is happening on the micro as well as the macro level. And the spiritual teaching will say that every time we plant something in the spiritual realm, then it will manifest itself in our reality, which, as we said, is the leaves, the top of the tree. So for example, if we understand like the universal concept of boundaries, like the spiritual or the divine meaning of boundaries, then we will download that software into our consciousness. So we will know how to put boundaries in our relationships, within our family, at work, etc. And then the next question is like, what is consciousness? So as we say, we download software into our consciousness. But how does Kabbalah perceive consciousness? What is consciousness according to Kabbalah? It's the state of mind that affects our thoughts, our belief system, words, feelings, action, reality. There are different levels of consciousness. But basically, if I feel like I want to shift something in my life, if I feel blocked somewhere and I'm trying to get a certain result in relationship or work or whatever, then I need to see what is causing that in my consciousness. This is where we need to do the work according to Kabbalah. And the different energy centers of the tree of life are also 10 levels of consciousness. It's like a ladder of consciousness. The lower part is more of like the body consciousness, but the higher part is like soul consciousness. Does anyone have any questions so far? Okay. So
I
Kabbalah.
have a question.
Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, if this is totally out of the context, let me know. But I've just been hearing recently about 12 branch tree of life, and I'm wondering, like, I understand that that's probably beyond what we're doing, but I'm curious if there's anything that you feel to speak into now, or yeah.
It says that it has 12 sides of the tree of life.
Yeah, there's been a few places that have been popping in information about this kind of new 12 branch tree of life.
Yeah.
Like,
so
I don't know if it's new, just different dimensions or different parts that have been, there's some that have been kind of connected to. I can't even put language to it, but I'm wondering maybe you have something to share about that.
Yeah, there's definitely, so the 10 is like the basic energy centers, but there's also an energy center that is considered like concealed, In between the top two, it's called da'at, knowledge in Hebrew, or union. It's both things, it's knowledge and union. Like in the Bible, there are also referrals when people are having like a sexual union, it's called that they knew each other. Like lada'at, someone is to also come in a sexual union with. But anyway, that energy center is concealed, so it's sometimes not considered in the regular 10. And there's another one that is also considered concealed, and these are less spoken of because there's all kinds of mystical approaches why, but it's like they're not part of this, it's like something we can't grasp. So it wouldn't be considered in the normal 10 Sefirot. But you're right, there are more, in some drawings you will see it. Some drawings will contain that as well, and some will not. Chabad, for example, the word Chabad, the Hasidic, Chabad is like an approach of a stream of Judaism, and they are very active worldwide. So they will have different branches in different countries, and their initials are Chokhmah, Bina, and Da'at. So in their name, they are including that Sephirah that we said is concealed. So it depends. Some streams will include it, some will not. It varies. But yeah, you're right. It's not true that there's strictly just 10, but that's the basic form. The tree of life by itself, it's such a deep thing. Like there's so many things there, and there's all different, like except for the Zohar, there are a lot of books that are talking strictly about that. And Talmud Eser Asfirot is like the main series of books about that. And we will touch each and every Sfira, but it's for the second course, I think we'll be more deeply into that. But we will understand the structure and what it means and all that. Yeah, so we said that Ken, Idan?
Sorry, yeah, I have a question as well. Like you said that the light was the plus and then the vessel is the minus.
Mm-hmm.
So like I don't know, I was thinking like it would be light and darkness, or positive and negative, or that kind of like more like the physical reaction of like the, I don't know if it's connecting or not, but the like the atomic structures of things, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so the plus and the minus is like it's everything in the world as well. We'll see it in everything. This basic structure of the tree of life is also the structure of like of a chemical materials, and every structure actually in reality is contains the plus and the minus, but it's also like in every plus there is minus, and in every minus there is plus. So it gets more complex than just plus and minus, but plus and minus, it's a good way to understand it on a basic level. So we say the divine is just the plus, and the vessel is just the minus that pours into it. But the vessel actually, the reason that the vessel is living life is because it wants to be also a plus. So it's not strictly a minus, it has the properties of the plus as well. Every soul, every, like yin and yang, exactly, where it's also, it's like a dance, and inside of each white and each black, there is a little bit of white and a little bit of black, and it's more complex than just the simplicity of plus and minus. But yeah, we are as vessels, it's a minus that is working on being a plus, if that makes sense. The goal for us is to, like, the ultimate desire of the humans is to be like the creator. So what we want to is to use our minus in order to create a plus. The minus is like almost like a servant in that way. But we'll get to that as well. We will learn about, we have something in Hebrew, it's called Satan. In English as well, Satan, basically. But there's also an Aramaic name that is Sitra Achra. Sitra is the side and Achra is a different. So it's there's also this energy that's called the different side, the other side, or Satan. And that is like a minus energy, but it's there to help us connect into the plus that we have inside us. So it's like this servant of the light that comes in the disguise of Satan, of a negative force. We'll get to that as well. We'll learn how to identify Satan and how it works inside of us, and the way that he speaks to us, and how can we overcome it, but not see it as something that is that negative, because eventually we understand that it's there to as like an angel, a dark angel. But we get to Satan. I think it's in the next lesson actually. But anyway, yeah, it's more complex than just plus and minus. It's minus in the plus, plus in the minus. There's a lot of complexity there, but in the most simple way, it is like electric circuit as well. Okay, so the consciousness is our tool in order to connect to the divine part in ourselves, and we need to overcome some things and create a good vessel, so our consciousness will be open and ready to receive the downloads of the spiritual reality. So as we learn and practice, we start to see the part of reality that is beyond our senses. We start to understand that everything happens for a reason, and things look less chaotic. That's what Kabbalah is giving us as well. Everything is for the best. That's an approach that we will get from learning Kabbalah, and we start to understand that our limited senses can only reach to a certain point. Every thought, every word, every energy has vibrations, the frequencies of life, or like the binary code behind the nice user interface of life. That is what Kabbalah will show us. And then we can start hacking that code and change the interface. And all the biblical characters like Abraham, Isaac, Joseph, Jacob, they're in Kabbalah, it's like they are different computer programs that are representing a certain energy. So it's not like the secret of the Bible is that these are not strictly like people, and their stories are not human stories, it's energies. So Abraham, for example, is the energy of giving and sharing. And Isaac is the energy of boundaries. And Joseph is the energy of abundance. And each and every one of them is also an energy center in the tree of life. Like Kali, Lakshmi. Yeah. There are so many similarities also in the Hindu tradition, the Vedic tradition, to Kabbalah. I once heard, I don't know if it's true, but you know how the people, like one of the castes in the Hindu tradition is like a Brahmins, and I heard that it's coming from the word Abraham, because Abraham is considered to be like the first Kabbalistic person, and then his descendants were sent around the globe to spread that knowledge, and they also reached to the Far East, and the Hinduism, and like that's faith is coming also for originating also from Abraham, from the Kabbalistic knowledge. So I don't know if like the actual name Brahmin is from Abraham, but if it is, it's cool to know. And yeah, and these characters are just like computer programs that contain a certain code. So Kabbalah is saying when we are ruled by only the body consciousness, we jump to conclusion by the flat reality that we see around us, like the 1% reality. And that reality is like, this is good, this is bad. If things are going well, I'm happy and content. If things go wrong, chaos starts and I shut down and I feel fear, sad, stress. But when we connect to higher Kabbalistic consciousness, the 99% reality, we can like see the blessing, we can see the cause, we can see the meaning, we can see the purpose. And we always have a choice to which reality we want to connect to. So yeah, the ability to see the bigger picture in Kabbalah is the ability to pause. The higher consciousness is about pausing. Why is that? Because sometimes even if we feel like something is a blessing, like we have a new connection and it feels good, or there's like this great business opportunity and we get really excited and everything feels perfect, Kabbalah is teaching us just, even in this situation, pause and ask the universe for the big picture in the situation. Like let the intuition connect to something bigger than what we see. And pausing is also a way to overcome the reactive nature of the ego mind. So how do we know that like reacting is a body consciousness? Because we don't choose it. The reactive nature is something that is like taking us back in the spiritual journey. It's also bringing us forward because this is how we learn what not to do and how to overcome and how to be closer to the light. But it's something, reactive nature, it's something that we don't choose. It happens automatically. And that's what makes it less spiritual, because it's less connected to the creator in us. It's just something that we do automatically. So first step in order to create a capable vessel, a vessel that is strong, that can contain more light, is to pause and ask for the bigger picture. So like if you wake up in the morning and you feel like you're in a bad mood, then you pause and you try to transform the beginning of the day, to center yourself, to pray, to meditate. That pausing is like a little thing but that's our first step in the practical way to build a vessel that will make us that will make it more possible for us to receive light. Make sense? Okay. So, sorry, I thought it was coming. Okay, so basically, Kabbalah is telling us the original plan for us when we separated from the divine in the state of the Garden of Eden, of Gan Eden, was to be like the light. What we wanted is to be like the light, to act like the light. So in order to do that, we need to stop being the victim of circumstances. Because the creator is not a victim. The creator in us, that area that we want to connect to, is powerful, not a victim. And let's say, for example, that in our life we have, of course, like everyone, we have problems, we have things that are not going so well sometimes, and it's hard to always be in that, creator consciousness that we are capable of changing everything and it's all up to us, and it's not an easy thing to do for a human. Like Kabbalah is not teaching us to be unhuman or saying that we need to, or like blaming or putting shame on us if we are getting into victim consciousness. But one thing it's giving us is the tool of pausing. Even if we are in that consciousness, then stopping and asking for guidance from the divine light will do miracles. That simple thing will actually create miracles. So for an exercise that we have exercises in the lessons, it's not an obligation, but it helps to understand what we learn more, and also it's nice to share it in the beginning of the lessons. So if you want, feel free to do it. If not, also fine. But if you do, then please write down a situation that you have in the upcoming week or two, in which you were able to stop and pause before you react. So like an everyday experience, something like simple things, not really anything dramatic or big, but even like feeling irritated from someone who is cutting you on the road, and you really want to just, do something, and you feel the anger coming up, and then you pause and breathe, and then pay attention to what happens in your body. Pay attention to how your body reacts, and what was the reactive feeling as well. So how did you feel when you were irritated by something, and what did your body want to do? Because that will help us see the difference between the reactive nature and the higher self. So pausing, looking at the situation from like a bird's eye, and then analyzing what was the feeling in the body before and after the pause. According to Kabbalah, that's already a shifting in consciousness. It's already like putting us in a new reality. It's also like a quantum physics theory, like there's multiple realities that are happening simultaneously, and our consciousness and our choices will transform us from one reality to another. That is also the mechanism of creating miracles. It's like the ability to take ourselves from one reality to another, and then the outcome will be different. Yeah, and And in the next class, we will talk more about the concept of that divine light, and like the big question that is like, where the suffering and pain is here, so why does it come to us, and how do we deal with that as well? Like, it's a practical way to understand, like, but this course will also give us like practical tools to overcome that suffering mentality, especially in these times of uncertainty and chaos in the world. This is the best time to learn Kabbalah. This is why I felt so strongly about sharing this. Yeah, and I want to hear you guys as well. I feel like I've been talking so much. So if you have any questions or anything you want to say, or something that wasn't clear, then feel free to do it now.
I have a question. I'm in the middle of
You're driving, and then
yeah, I need to go to a meeting. Yeah, so it's about the lechem bizayon, bread of shame. So my computer got stuck, and I'm not sure I understood how we, from a state that we got everything, like from Garden of Eden, it became lechem bizayon, that we need to work for the light.
Yeah, good question. It's definitely, there was a transition there from a situation where everything is perfect and in harmony and fruitful. And if you, like, the biblical story will say that the serpent came into the picture and seduced Eve, which then seduced Adam. But the Kabbalah version is a bit different from that. We can see the resemblance, but it's a bit different. The situation was that the light created that Adam Kadmon, that original one soul that was meant to receive all the goodness, with the free choice. Like, it created it as an independent vessel that can choose for itself. And this is what was even in the biblical story, like the fact that Eve was, speaking to the serpent and getting and wanted to try the apple, and like it shows us that there was always a free choice. The free choice was always there. It's still here. We still have always a free choice, and that is also the condition of the original soul. So free choice was what led the original soul, the original one soul, that, by the way, was like an androgynous. It was feminine and male at the same time. We can see in the biblical story, it's like the female was created from the rib of the male, or the male was created from the rib of the female. I can't remember, but basically in the Kabbalistic approach, it's one thing that was both feminine and masculine, and had a free choice. And that free choice created a desire. So the infinite desire to give, which is the divine light, created an infinite desire to receive, which is the vessel. But the infinite desire to receive had a free choice, and it wanted to receive the light by itself, by working for it. And just like a thought that started to awaken in that original soul, and said, actually, I want to earn my energy. I want to do it myself. I want to feel like the light. And that's when and because the creator or the divine light is just an infinite force of giving, then the wish was fulfilled. And that's Shvirat HaKelim. Make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, so Ken, Eden, something else? No. Okay. Okay, so just to summarize what we learned today, what we did so far, this is a very basic lesson. First, just the terms of the Kabbalah teachings. We learned that there is the divine light. We call it Or and Sof in Hebrew. The divine light is something that was always there, always will be. It's just energy, like the closest thing I can think of to describe is like the sun. It's just that infinite energy that is always there. And part of his essence is to share and to give. And that was the reason why it created a vessel that will be able to receive all the goodness that it wanted to share. So the vessel was one thing in the beginning, and it was called Adam Kadmon. It's another term that we learn. And it was androgynous, it was feminine and masculine. And that was the original state of our soul. This is why when in our life, when we feel like we need or want connection to others, is because we want to come back to the original state of being in that garden of paradise and Garden of Eden and being united, being one thing. That is how we used to be. But at a certain point, that original vessel felt the desire to be like the creator. And because it was always made with free choice and a desire to receive, then the wish was fulfilled. And there was the breaking of the vessels, Shvirat HaKelim, a process which is equivalent to the Big Bang in the scientific approach. And from that moment, we are no longer receiving bread of shame. We're not longer receiving unearned energy. And in this realm, we need to work and reveal the light. The light is not just there, giving us everything for free, like it used to be. And we have to work for food, and we have to work for shelter, and we have to do the things in order to receive energy. So what we learn in Kabbalah, the ultimate goal is for us to create a vessel that is strong, that is solid, and can contain more light, in order for us to eventually give that light and be like the creator, which is the original wish that we had as one soul. So yeah, so that's our first lesson. In the upcoming ones, we also have like holiday specials sometimes. So there's going to be a flow of lessons that will make sense like in a storyline, but sometimes we do holiday specials. I think the next one is what's the next holiday? Hanukkah? I think so. Yeah. Anyway, we meet every fortnight. So our next lesson will be in the 20th of October. And by then, if you get the chance, then please do the exercise of pausing and trying to feel into the reactive nature and how does it feel not to operate from that reactive nature. and it will lead us to our next subject, that is reactive versus proactive nature of being. Yeah, thank you everyone for joining, and I really enjoyed it. Next lessons I will talk less, and there will also be like discussions, and you will participate more. This was really basic, so this is why I was talking mostly, but I'm excited to hear your opinions and approaches and everything. So yeah, looking forward to the next one. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much.
בבקשה.
Thank you.
לילה טוב.
לילה טוב.
Thank you, Shira. It's super interesting.
Thank you. תודה. See you guys soon.